We've got to bear in mind that endoAVF is still a relatively new area, new technology. Although it's been used for a number of years now, there's still lots of unmet needs and lots of understanding still to be had in different areas, and patient selection is a great example. In terms of what we understand so far, most of the focus has been on vessel sizes, vessel mapping, the presence or the absence of a perforator, for example, but there's very little information out there on whether or not, for example, certain ethnic groups are more suitable than others. There's also information missing on whether or not patients already on dialysis will benefit the most, or whether pre-dialysis patients, for example, will benefit more from endoAVF. If you read all the literature to date, there are some inconsistencies in terms of definitions used, and that's fine because those definitions are relevant to that particular review or study. But I think there does need to be some consistency with definitions moving forward so we can make some meaningful comparisons between all these different studies. Well, as it's been pointed out earlier on in the conference, there are papers or there are recommended standard definitions, and we should probably stick to those. And perhaps one of the most important ones is how we determine cannulation success. There are inconsistencies, as I say, in the literature to date. So I think that's probably a very important one because that's what's important to the patient at the end of the day. They're the end user. Whilst we talk about patencies and all the scientific side of it, cannulation, for example, is very important. That leads me on to another aspect in that there needs to be more focus and more understanding about cannulation and cannulation patterns. As I've already alluded to, these fistulas are typically shared outflow. They're not as prominent as surgical fistulas. So there needs to be a different approach to cannulation. And that is where we really need to focus, I think.